Let's bring in Mehek Cook, a Republican strategist and CEO of Americans Frontier Strategies, and David Carlucci, former Democratic New York State Senator. Guys, thanks so much for joining us this afternoon. Mehek, I'll start with you. I mean, this tale as old as time here, somebody who's not in power saying they're going to disrupt and come to Washington. I mean, that's nothing new. But do you think that Democrats have learned a lesson from the elections last year and might change their approach to their messaging this time around?
Rich, I really don't think Democrats have learned a thing. They are in an all-out reputational panic today, and they have a socialism problem. Democrats continue to say they want to be disruptors, but they're actually running from their rhetoric and their record. They demonize more than half the country and President Trump. They still do that every single day through their rhetoric and fighting against just common sense solutions and safety and security. So when you have a problem with your mouth and what you're saying to the American people, and you're fighting every single solution that President Trump is providing, from border security to common sense measures to reduce inflation, that's the biggest problem. They're fighting common sense. And when you fight common sense, you're left with people like Jasmine Crockett, who's out there spewing lies about the fact that we don't have a secure border. We have Mondani, who is pushing for socialism. And so I think today, Democrats today are out of ideas. They're out of solutions. And a lot of times when you're on the losing aisle of this, as polling is showing, Democrats are at an all-time low. They just get bigger and louder, but people are tuning them out because we know the path to prosperity is what Republicans are doing in office today.
You know, David, you're starting to hear a little bit of a change. What some Democrats are saying here, you know, on the one end, the Democratic Party, very generally speaking, really pushed for government worker protections that said basically anything you do, not anything, but a large chunk of what you do, you can't be fired, you have a job for life. Putting up regulations that make it incredibly expensive to build almost anything in this country. Are you beginning to see Democrats push for different policies, push for a different way of approaching government that may actually bring prices down and get the country to build things?
Yes, look, I think this is about Democrats trying to solve the problems of the time that we're in. And look, Donald Trump is continuing to have grievances. You know, it's like Festivus all year long. There are no solutions from the president, and that's what the Democrats are seizing on. Look, we talk about health care. All the Republicans do is talk about repeal and replace. Well, replace with what? We still don't know. We hear these issues about lowering prices, but Trump's solution to that? Add tariffs on top of that. So the reality is, even if we look at the polls, yes, Democrats are not generically seen more favorable than Republicans. But what people are doing when it comes to the ballot box is they're choosing Democrats over Republicans because they're sick and tired of only hearing the grievances. They do want solutions, and that's what Democrats are talking about. And yes, Democrats do need to learn from the examples of previous elections, and that means how do we message this? They don't want to be the protectors of a broken system, but they also don't want to see our government and the good work that has been done over decades of contributions to be broken in just one administration. And of course, it's easier to tear down a house than to build one up. And that's what Democrats are doing. And I think they're finding ways to message it appropriately and not seen as just the defenders of the status quo, but seen as the ones actually trying to reduce prices for average families, working on housing, making sure that people can afford their health care and actually get the coverage that they need and they deserve.
Mehek, a year ago, voters gave Republicans really a 2-year shot here. Control of the House, control of the Senate, and control of the White House. Remains to be seen if that's a 4-year project or a 2-year project. You heard Chad in the report leading up to our discussion here that Republicans do have a chance to use what's called reconciliation. It's a simple majority. It's easier to get things through the Senate. What do Republicans have to put on the table in the Congress this year to make the right case for why they should get another 2 years running the country?
I think we have to focus first on the big, beautiful bill. The fact that we've passed it and we have massive tax relief for every single American and every single tax bracket is a slam dunk. And then after that, Republicans need to continue to deliver solutions. We can't get complacent. The only thing Democrats knew how to win were midterm elections. But when it comes to winning over the hearts and minds of the American people, we need to get right back to border security, making sure ICE officers are protected, the fact that they have the appropriate tools and measures borders to continue to deport illegal immigrants, and then the economy. Tariffs are going to continue to bring down prices. We know egg prices, groceries, and even gas has gone down. President Trump didn't have a light switch that he could turn on and off when Joe Biden left office. We had record high inflation. Families were barely able to afford gas and groceries, but President Trump is moving our country in the right direction. So we need to continue to rely on energy independence and affordability issues and making sure that Gen Z is never left behind, because that's what Democrats did. They imported illegal immigrants to our country that just overloaded our housing market and our supply chain. So I applaud what Republicans are doing. We just have to continue to deliver solutions and never fall into the trap of identity politics and where Democrats are today, because they continue to fight even harder for gender mutilation than healthcare and reform and affordability and housing. So we have a massive opportunity.
So easy.
David,
this is too easy for the Democrats. It's too easy, because if that is the rhetoric that continues from the Republican Party, the Democrats don't have to do much. And that is a trap, because every time that Donald Trump opens his mouth and blames Joe Biden or talks about affordability being a hoax, or that tariffs will actually reduce the price of goods, I mean, that is a winning formula for Democrats, but it's almost too easy. I almost see it as a trap. And that's why the DNC is not releasing this autopsy report, which I think is a major mistake. But the tide is so strong against Republicans right now, completely because of that rhetoric. The fact that we're saying they're solutions, but the solutions to lower prices are tariffs. The way we're going to lower healthcare costs is by repealing Obamacare. That doesn't make any sense. And the American people know it. The Republicans' only strategy is to blame Joe Biden, blame someone, whether it's Somalian immigrants or Democrats themselves. But the American people are not buying it, and that's the reality.
All right, guys. Well, we have to leave it there. Unless you two are going to announce a run against each other, we're going to have to leave it there. Guys, thanks so much. And there is plenty of opportunity for Democrats and Republicans to fill the void here and make their case as to why the Americans should elect them. They got a year to do it. Thanks so much for joining us. Matt Cook, David Carlucci. Have a great new year.
Happy New Year.